A 1/125th. What's the biggest single fish can be kept in a 20?
In
Oh
a
dear.
1 gallon long.
What the single biggest fish? That's quite a question. And a 20 long. So that's 30 inches. Depends on the fish.
Axolotl?
Well, I'll tell you what I was thinking about, essentially the same thing. I was thinking reptile. The siren, which is a salamander, same as the axolotl, that's a salamander.
Yeah.
Um, you could keep a 3 foot salamander in a 2.5 foot tank, and it would do just fine.
A 3 foot salamander in a 2.5 foot tank.
Right. It's an air breather.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't depend on water quality. Pretty easy to maintain water quality because something that size, you only feed it about once a month. And if you're doing a deep substrate, you don't even need to do water changes. The trick is to keep a very solid, heavy lid
Okay.
because
Oh yeah. With anything, really.
if you don't, it comes right out. That's a little unfair. Fish, he said. What's the largest fish you
Uh-huh.
can have in a 30-inch tank?
Bolivian ram?
Single fish all by itself. Well,
Pike?
you could put an Oscar in the 30 in a 20-gallon long
Oh, but
until
not
it
long.
until it got to about 6 8 inches,
Yeah.
and then you'd want to move it. But here's the thing: the question is a red herring because the size fish you have in a tank depends on two main things: the condition the condition in which you're keeping it and how you feel about it, both of which carry equal weight. If you think that a 4-inch fish in a 20-gallon tank is not enough space, you're not going to be happy with that fish being in that tank. So you're going to feel like it needs a bigger tank. If you are maintaining it in a way that's keeping the water uh, unbalanced, overfeeding it, keeping it on the edge of chaos, having to do water changes all the time, then you're also creating a condition that's unrealistic and unsafe for the animal. So the reality, however, is if you are responsible and careful about what you're doing, you can keep a large fish, like a foot long fish, in a 20-gallon tank, so long as you have a heavy lid on it so it can't jump out, or sides that are tall enough that it can't jump over them. And if you're maintaining good water quality, feeding very sparingly, a fish that size only needs to eat 2 or 3 times a year. Two
Really?
or three times a year. That's right, because it's a fully developed, fully mature animal. It has adequate body fats. It burns calories at such a slow rate because it's not moving around much. It may burn 20 30 calories a day tops, and if its body contains 5,000 calories, it can go a very long time before it becomes a problem. You then feed it a big meal, and that will build up the calorie intake will build up the fat and food deposits in the fish for it to be able to survive another 3 to 6 months and survive healthfully, not get sick in the process. So, it's the question is it's the wrong question. The right question is, how can I keep a really big fish in a small tank? That's the question. And some people will say you cannot. And other people like me will say you can do it, but with special considerations like I've just outlined.
I mean, I can see your point. I guess for me, it's not necessarily because, I don't know, like I'm sort of in the middle on this because I love watching fish move. I love watching them hunt. I love watching them become stimulated by their surroundings, which is part of the reason why I love planted tanks. And, a big fish in a smaller container, yes, you can keep it under special circumstances, but I feel like he or she would be bored.
All right, let me suggest something. There are environments in which big fish, are living in very small volumes of water naturally.
I think I discovered that about a week and a half ago.
That's right, you did.
And I know
sure did.
I know that's actually, it's so funny is that when I was there like 3 weeks prior to that, and it was like big green water, it was my son and I, we were gathering green water in the little mosquito gambusias. He was like, Mom, I think there's something big in here.
Did he really? Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
And, I know that in the wild, when you look at alligator gar, even the big ones, they do live in small bodies they can live in still.
And very often do.
Yeah.
Think of culverts. Many culverts dry out at the delivery end.
Yeah.
And whatever's living in that culvert, so long as there's water staying in it, there could be a 4-foot fish in there living in essentially 4 to 6 inches of water.
Yeah.
That's maybe 3 or 4 feet long.
I know rice fish are used to those conditions or were designed to live in those conditions. I know that even the betta fish
exactly.
live in those conditions too.
Yep. Yeah.
But I think it would be cruel to put a hill stream loach in one, because they're designed for rivers,
Yeah, but again, I mean, I've caught things in rivers, or more, not rivers, but creeks in the middle of summer that have dried out to the point where there are just a few pools, and found fish in those pools.
True.
And they can survive long periods of time. Their biggest problem is birds, and of course other animals that find easy pickings.
You mean like human beings exploring?
Well, partly, but no, I'm really thinking about natural predators.
Yeah, the natural predators.
Herons. Herons are always on the lookout for just that kind of environment.
Yes, I see them all the time. Yeah, especially after rain.
They're looking for stranded fish.
They are. Yeah.
Or snakes or whatever they can find.
Yeah.